Martell said something funny. It was like, you basically want to live your life in a way that you are making any given moment, if there's a camera on you, you're just basically making content. That's apparently the most efficient way to live life, because then you can just be yourself and make content from it, which is pretty dope. But basically, recently, I've understood the difficulty of growing a company a lot more than I ever have in my life. They say that if you have not been in business for 5 years, you basically don't know shit. And this is my 2.5 year in business, maybe 3rd year in business. And the amount of changes that I've made to this ecosystem on like a monthly basis has been tremendous. And that means that there are some people that can deal with it and there's some people that can't deal with it. If you're the one that's imposing the change, you can't be the person that can't deal with it. Okay, you gotta just set your vision straight and keep moving. So I'll tell you a couple of the difficulties that I've had in management. I had some lovely people that were working for me on a larger scale, and community engagement people specifically, like nonprofit folks. You know, when someone comes into a position really excited, you want to use that excitement and you want to make sure that they're put into a place that excitement stays tangible, that they keep getting what they're getting out of it. The issue is that it takes about 3 months to really get to know someone in terms of that position. And then it takes about 3 more months to realize, especially if it's something new that you're creating, that you often didn't put enough guardrails in. So what I realized is I didn't end up creating enough of an infrastructure to where that person can sustainably be useful. And what that sustainable infrastructure would look like is basically standard operating procedures, checklists, spreadsheets that are filled out that you actually end up checking all the time, like once a week. You know, accountability measures like pictures and stuff for showing up. So these are all these things that you know I should have built out, and it would have probably made transparency a lot easier, and also made the people that were working for me a little bit more comfortable with the things that they were doing. The issue is when you start imposing these things after the 6-month period, especially people that are, you know, used to a certain situation, when you start imposing that after 6 months, it starts becoming this thing where it's a sink or swim type of thing. So you impose a situation and then immediately this person gets this tangible thing. It's like, oh crap, I'm expected to do something completely different than I was. And that can be really scary for people. And that can be really unnerving and disappointing for people. And that's when you really realize whether or not someone's gonna stick around. Because when you're growing an organization, as I'm growing this organization, I realize like, dude, the way that I thought 3-4 months ago is not the way that I can continue to think. That means that the way that I'm doing things can't continue the way that it's going. And me realizing that directly translates to things that people have to do, which is a really hard pill to swallow in management. It's a really hard pill to swallow. It's one saying that, you know, first of all, I'm not good enough, which is totally acceptable. But secondly, that me being not good enough actually tangibly affects someone else's life. Like the amount of stress that they go through, or the amount of literally their pay, right? Like if they can't hack it, they don't have their livelihood anymore. And so these are lessons that you kind of just have to learn the hard way in a lot of ways, especially when I'm growing as a CEO, as a young entrepreneur. I've realized it's just, you know, the things that screw you in life are the ones that you never see coming. And it happens all the time, and it's gonna happen to you way more the faster and the larger your goal. The faster you wanna go towards something and the larger your goal is, the more these things are gonna happen, because you don't know shit. You literally don't know anything about management. And I say you, and I'm talking about myself. And so, you know, you can make all these checklists and all this stuff, right? But if you don't come back and actually check the checklist, you know, you won't realize that, oh, these 3 things weren't needed to begin with. And the last 3 people that I onboarded were using these things. Shit. So I just screwed my entire team over by not checking something. And that's like the smallest detail ever. But when you're hiring leaders, people to take over the things that you're expected to do, those things affect you tremendously. It's like, you know, for 6 months, you ended up going down a certain array of streets to get home, and suddenly someone changed where your home's at. And then you gotta learn a whole new route, but you don't have a map. And then for the next 6 months, you have to adapt to that completely different route home. And your home looks different, and it feels different, right? There's very few people that are able to adapt to that. Management difficulty number 1. The other thing is, you want to be a transparent leader. Transparency is really useful, but it's also really frightening. Again, we exist in fear. As human beings, we're just constantly existing in fear. When something difficult happens to your infrastructure, to your business, whatever, say you can't meet payroll, say you don't know what next month's gonna look like. You don't know what next year is gonna look like. You don't know what next week's gonna look like. And you tell that to your team. It's very, very hard for the team to not make drastic moves. And so what I've learned in management is so far that it's almost always a good idea to tell people up front if there is a storm coming. But don't expect that to make your life any easier, because the very help that you relied on may very well just leave from underneath you, which is part of business, right? Which is part of being a good person. One of my core business philosophies is who you are determines how good your business is. So for instance, if you're a shitty person and you lie to people and don't tell them that there's storms coming and all this stuff, right? That's your reputation. And after a while, that reputation will catch up with you, because then you'll be expanding or making something else happen, and the reality is the same people that you needed before will be like, dude, you screwed me that one time, I'm not gonna help you. That's the same thing with your clients, for those of you that are young business owners and stuff, right? If you screw your clients, do you think that they're gonna go to the next person and talk very highly of you? Probably not, right? If on the other hand you take too much time, extra time to help your client, and you could have been getting another one, well, maybe you can't make ends meet, right? So there's always this balance that I'm going through, that I'm trying to figure out, how much love and compassion can I put into this? How much does it actually affect the bottom line, and how much does it affect my soul? And these are things that people in management have to figure out all the time. If you want to build something, it depends how fast you want to build, but it's going to affect a tremendous part of your life. It's going to affect your personal life, it's going to affect your financial life, it's going to affect your spiritual life, and you really got to have something that you believe in. You really got to have something that holds you there and says, hey, this is it. This is my purpose. This is the thing that I need to do. I was talking to someone actually recently, the people that have built, and a lot of this Gen Z, a lot of our generation in general, we have these role models that have built these billion-dollar businesses, and we have these role models that we see all the time. They're like, oh my God, this person's hyper successful and all this stuff. Bro, it takes 15-hour days for 25 years to do any of this stuff. Elon Musk, Trump, Bezos, all this stuff, dude, they didn't build this in a year. They didn't build this in 5 years. They went through a lot of shit. Like a lot of shit. So there's no such thing as an overnight success. And if you are an overnight success, you're probably gonna fail the next day. And what that means is that, again, you gotta have something that you believe in. And hopefully it's you. Hopefully you at least believe in you. That's a prerequisite. Because to take something that goes from 0 to 1 billion, where lineages, entire families that have been around for hundreds of years have never gotten there, or maybe never will. You're essentially making like hundreds of years of mistakes. Ideally, if you have mentors, you avoid these, but hundreds of years of mistakes in one lifetime. You understand what I'm saying? That's a lot. It's a lot of pain to go through. But if you're still watching this video, maybe you're just a masochist. Maybe you just want to do that shit. It ain't gonna be easy. But there'll be parts of it that are pretty damn satisfying. And those parts come about five days a year. The rest of it's basically work. So my recommendation to you is do it out of love for humans, do it out of service, and try to be a good person doing it. Really try every time. Try to really just try to be as good as you can be. And find people that can understand your pain. Not everyone's gonna understand that pain or difficulty. Find people that do, and then vent to them, because they'll actually know what it means to support you. Harder said than done, but I have other videos for that. Anyway, some of the management things I've learned. If you have any questions about this stuff, or you're going through something in your life, you're managing human beings, and you just want to bounce that off of someone, you can throw a comment down below or DM me. Let me know, man. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you.